Hello and welcome to Inside Music, episode number 165. I'm your host, James Shotwell, and it's great to be with you again. My guest this episode is none other than Frank Carter of Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, who is here to discuss his band's new album, End of Suffering. Now, End of Suffering hit stores in early May, and let me tell you, it is one of my favorite records of the year. Not only is Frank an enigmatic frontman as always, but he's dealing with some very heavy issues here. We talk about religion, we talk about accepting your shortcomings, we talk about becoming a better person through struggles, which is something that we all aspire to do in our life, but not everyone is able to actually achieve. Frank talked to me while he was in New York City for a one-off show that the band performed earlier this month, and because of that, there is a little bit of noise in the background. Frank is traveling the streets of New York as we chat, so feel free to enjoy the sounds of the city during this conversation. Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes will be returning to the U.S. at some point this fall. The tour is not yet announced, but he says it here, so I feel like it's safe to reveal to you. I don't want to waste too much time before we get to the conversation because I am excited about this episode, but I do want to thank you so much for continuing to support the show. We've had a lot of episodes here as of late, and you have been listening to every single one. So again, thank you so much. Now let me get you through the stuff that you know we need to talk about. First and foremost, this episode of Inside Music and all episodes of Inside Music are brought to you by Holix, the music industry's leading digital promotional distribution platform. Now, what that means is that Holix works with record labels, management, publicists, and independent artists from all over the world to share new and unreleased music without fear of piracy. To learn more about that and gain access to a free 30-day trial, visit Holix.com. That's HAULIX.com. You should also feel free to follow the company on Twitter. That's where you can find updates about every episode of Inside Music. The address is @Holix. That's HAULIX. Now, please take time this week to check out End of Suffering. It is one of the best records you're going to hear throughout 2019. And right now, just sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with the one and only Frank Carter.
I'm okay, man. Yeah, just cruising about New York, so I've got to pick something up. But all good.
Yeah,
how's life?
You guys are doing a sold-out show in New York, right? Or did that just happen?
We played it last night. Yeah. It was fucking chaos. So good.
I know. I live out closer to the Chicago area, and people are all itching to see you guys take on a full U.S. tour.
Fuck yeah. Well, we'll be back in September.
I know.
I don't know the exact date. I think we're going to come back and play the Cobra Lounge. So yeah.
That's fantastic. I saw that you guys were announced for Lost Rages today. Do you have a lot of those festival appearances lined up for the fall?
We got a couple. Yeah, we're doing that, and we're doing Loudwire Fest, something like that. We got a few anyway. We got a few, like we got Aftershock in Sacramento. So we're going to be doing mostly like a East Coast and a West Coast tour. Getting up to Chicago and then getting up to Vancouver as well. So yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a great tour.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'm excited to see it. How is it being in the States? Was last night your first show since the new record came out here in the U.S.?
Yeah, well, we haven't. I mean, I love America, man. I lived there for 5 years, so. And I've got a real affinity with the country and with this city particularly. So for me, we've been itching to get back and to do it kind of as soon as possible. It's never ever easy with the schedule, especially given the fact that we're a European band, UK band. The minute festival season rolls in, that just takes up our entire summer. So, but it's worked really, really well this time. We've managed to lock in this tour for September and get back, and now we just can't wait to be here. Can't wait to play. But yeah, last night was the first show back. First show playing all the new songs from End of Suffering, and kind of hectic to walk out on stage and start playing songs that, I've only been out for a month or so, and to have so many people singing them back to you so far away from home is a trippy feeling, man. It's pretty crazy.
I bet, man. I got to hear the record a few months early, and I was telling Monica, like, I think the day that I got it, I was like, I need to chat with this human being for a minute, because I've been following you for a while, but I don't know, there's something about this record that was immediately like, it feels like I'm having a very private conversation with you, just set to music. It's so intimate that I was like, I feel like I need to tell him something very personal about myself, because he's being so honest with me.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what music is at its best. When you go and see those performers, really they transcend the stage, and they it's as if they're speaking directly to your heart. You know, that's what I've always wanted to be. Those are the musicians that I love. Those are the performers that I love, and that's what I've always aspired to be like. You know? So I think we got really close with this album. Nothing is ever perfect, but with End of Suffering, it almost is, you know, like I don't want to say it is, because, you know, nothing like this, but with this one, we got it really right. I love everything about this record, and we're both, well, all of us, everyone who works on the album, we're all incredibly proud of it.
You've been a part of quite a few records at this point. Would you say this is the closest that you've got to, I guess, making what you hear in your head? I know that you can probably never perfectly get it all out there on the page, but is End of Suffering as close as it gets for you so far?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's hard with, like, anytime you go to make a record, because it always changes. There's so much room for it to change when you're in the studio. But like in the past, you know, we've spent so much time in the studio, kind of refining those songs in a live sense, and then just getting them down at early takes. With this, we went into the studio with just bare bones demos, you know, like nothing really very well rehearsed as far as the band went. And it was just nice to like take the time to hash that out in there. You know what I mean? And that was the biggest thing that we've changed, was like actually taking the time to just relax into it and not be scared to absolutely cut things out, and be quite brutal. You know, that's where Cam Blackwood came in, and Tom Visser, who is sort of Cam's right-hand man. You know, between the four of us in there, really hacking those songs apart, like bravely. There's a confidence in the room while we were recording. You know, the confidence in the decision making and the space that we had given in the actual songwriting meant that I was, you know, it just projected me into a place where I felt like I had to do something special, you know? And that was not only just like bearing my soul in a way that I hadn't before, but it was also, you know, I really went to town with my vocal delivery. I wanted it to be undeniably the best I'd ever sounded, and I think I achieved that.
Well, you're a guy who's widely known for his live performance. Were you nervous doing such strong vocal work about bringing that into the live setting? Because I feel like so many people see you as like this almost maniacal character on stage, and there's a lot of heart and soul in these songs. Were you worried about how translating them to the live setting? I mean, you just did it last night, so you said it went well.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been scared about performing on stage. It's like one of the few places in the world where I feel good in myself and I feel safe, you know. So I'm never scared to perform. I was nervous for sure to, like, you know, when we finished recording these songs, knowing that they would have to be played live, and you're always kind of concerned about how people will accept them. But ultimately, like, fuck people. Like, if they don't get, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm up there, like, pouring my heart out for myself, right? And if you can find stuff in there, then that's great. That's a beautiful thing. But, like, I don't write for anybody but myself. You know, that's the first and foremost. That's the therapy. And then once the record's released, it doesn't belong to me anyway. So I'm less like prissy about it. Like I don't really worry so much about how people will receive it, because it's too late. You know, once it's out in the world, it belongs to the entire world, and they'll take from it what they need, and they'll leave what they don't want. And all I know out of all of it is that, like, on the record, it's the best I've ever sounded. And naturally, like, when I get the chance to flex out on stage, I feel like a complete different person. I feel like the best version of me that has ever existed right now. Seriously. Which is a beautiful thing to rediscover that at 35, like, 3 bands in and 6 albums in or something. It's pretty amazing.
I think that gives hope to every one of us who's over the age of 30 and in music in some way, shape, or form. The whole best is yet to come. Because I feel like, when you're a young person in music, you don't really know anyone over 30 doing it. So to be in your 30s and feeling good about it, you're like, holy shit, this is possible.
Oh, 100%, man. Like, this is for me. Like, I'm just getting started. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is now I'm coming into the time where I'm gonna make something good in the world. And like, in the past, like, I did my best. We worked hard. We played, like, we played relentlessly. Like, we did everything we could. But the real truth of the matter is that there was nothing that could have prepared us for, like, what was going to happen. And now it's just a case of, like, holding on to what I have and, like, enjoying every step of it, every single step of the way, just enjoying what I'm doing, enjoying what I'm creating. And naturally, like, that has just led me to be just a lot, like I said before, a lot braver. And the bravery, like, is sort of, it works really, really hand in hand with the confidence thing. Like, the braver I am, the more confident I get. The more confident I am, the braver I am. It's funny, man. And all that's come from just experience. So all of those records that went before, they helped make this,
Do you find that that bravery to be something that has been infectious so far? I know that the first time I heard Crowbar, I think the first 2 times or so, it was catchy. And then the more I got into it, I was like, holy shit, he is saying something here that you don't hear a lot of people talk about in songs. And that's kind of a theme through End of Suffering. And I'm wondering, people that have been talking to you about the record and fans you see maybe online, do you find that being more honest and, I guess you could say, vulnerable yourself is bringing that out in the people who listen to your music?
That's a tough question. I don't know. I guess so. Yeah, I think people lead by example for sure. People follow by example. So maybe that's that. Yeah, maybe that is happening. But what I do know is that, like, I laid myself out there, and man, it's been an awakening. Like, people are just coming to me constantly now to support and to share. And I try my best, but I can't always. I'm not a therapist, like I'm not a doctor. Like, I'm not sometimes not equipped for that. So I just try and listen, and I just try and, like, offer words of, like, support in the best way that I can. But it doesn't always, I'm just I'm a human being as well, So it's hard. There's a balance.
Absolutely. I mean, I talked to a few artists who I would say are really starting to dig deep into the emotions on their music, and I guess maybe not an unexpected consequence of doing that, but you definitely kind of become somebody, when your fans hear you being that vulnerable, for whatever reason, it makes them feel like they need to share their vulnerable thing with you, and now you have all this new shit on your shoulders. You're just like, oh, now I have all these horrible thoughts. It's... Go ahead.
What I just remind myself is that those aren't my thoughts. Those thoughts don't belong to me. They belong to other people. And so, like, I cannot take that on as my own struggle, And whether it comes from part of it or not, from the work that I've made, or if it doesn't, like, I never allow myself to get too tangled up with that. Like, I just, you got, if people are gonna, like, share stuff with you like that in the world, you have to just, like, listen and accept, and then just move on, let it breathe in the universe, Don't let it fucking weigh you down. I certainly am not trying to, like, fucking pick that up off anybody, because there's no need. I can barely fucking, deal with the shit I got going on, so.
Well, I think if nothing else, people should walk away from the album wanting to sort out their shit a little bit more. I know I did. I think it definitely opened some doors to conversations for me. When I talk to other people about the record, I find that, a lot of times when you talk about music with people, it's very surface level. It's like, this is good, right? And they say that's good, but End of Suffering seems to be an album where people are really, it's leading people to have tough conversations, maybe if it's even just with themselves, to be like, am I somebody doing this? Which end of this story am I?
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for taking the time to chat with me today,
Yeah,
Frank. I know
sure.
you're a busy man, but it's been an honor to chat with you. Do you and when will be when will
No worries.
when will we be hearing more about this the U.S. states
Thank
in the near future?
so
I
much.
assume.
It's like kind of any minute now. We're just talking about the release plan now. So as soon as we have basically an ad mat drawn up, so like it'll be out there. But like definitely just stay in touch with Monica and she'll let you know all about it.
Thank you so much, man. Have a great time in New York.
No problem. All right, man. Take care. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.